Well, all right, you guys, good morning. It's May 8th, 2024. Today, Ham's coming on at 2 p.m., so I want to make a video I wanted to make last night, but the two videos I did on the criminality of the Crane brothers and the tremendous filing that the SEC made calling for a jury trial, I hope they go all the way and they don't settle with the two-time recidivist Kurt Kramer. But I was dead tired. I don't know if you noticed it, and you probably didn't listen all the way through, but I was at the end of it, so I couldn't do it. So today, what I want to do quickly, and maybe I'll use a yellow pen as I go, but I want to go through the Basher's Handbook. The Basher's Handbook. What's happening on Twitter and on the boards and on my lives is the bashers try anything. There's going to be people that are your friend, and then they get you to question your own morality. Are you being fair? But it's just a constant push to achieve one thing: immobilize us to do nothing and allow them to continue to sell stock fraudulently in the markets. They're trapped in mmtlp. So I don't know what their end game is there, other than freezing us to not move our shares over to NextBridge, and I continue to advocate for that. So let me just read the Basher's Handbook to you. And let's see what website it's bashershandbook.blogspot.com, and I printed it out yesterday. Basher's Handbook. The Basher's Handbook, reprinted here as a service to those who doubt this actually exists or is simply an unfounded urban legend. It's very small writing. I didn't think of that. Okay. Is the bashing of a stock an essential part of the online investment landscape? Our Constitution guarantees us free speech, and we have always valued the lessons gleaned from dissent. When does dissent cross over that imaginary line and become bashing? Too often, we find well-grounded dissent capriciously labeled as bashing by overzealous investors bent on protecting a stock's reputation at any cost. Well, yeah, that's possible. The bashing that is addressed on this site is quite different from dissent. The anatomy of a basher strives to look at the calculated erosion of confidence in a given stock. Erosion by means that are, in every sense, void of truth, hinged on deception and innuendo, and motivated by greed at the expense of others. Massive greed. This compendium is offered to aid in identifying the telltale signs of bashing, and hopefully will provide a counterbalance to this heretofore unchecked manipulation of investor fears for personal gains. Okay, question. Is it easier to scare people into selling than it is to scare people into buying a stock? I think you know. I used to say stocks go down more quickly and severely than up because the stock has already been there. You can imagine the lower price. You can't, it's harder to imagine the higher price. Yes, of course, yes. It's the answer. Consider the elderly that are investing for retirement. They find their way to the message boards for validation of their investment, only to see false posts about, quote, SEC violations, unquote, and, quote, class action suits, unquote, or the head of a, quote, typical growing family with children to put through college, who is monitoring a message board only to read posts by a pack of 15 to 20 bashers, probably 5 or 6 of them under various aliases, posting continuous disinformation. What do you think these new investors will do? It's safer to not buy or even to sell the stock, put the money back in the bank, than to deal with the whirlwind of unsupported negative chaff. The internet has lured a whole new class of investor into the market. A new investor is just that, new. This new investor, while learning the basics, is particularly vulnerable to the tactics of professional bashers. New investors tend to lurk in the background of message boards, content to form independent opinions based on what they read with their own eyes. Often, honest, intelligent, and cautious people can easily be overcome by a well-orchestrated propaganda effort. You must always remember that there is a lot of money to be made in just the motion of the stock up and down. It doesn't matter. And bashers have money at risk just as you do. It's usually not their own, or sometimes the day traders it is. But they have the edge of fear, lies, and falsehoods to post while preying on the uninitiative. The average investor does not have the edge of organized deception. Recent revelations have indicated that even market makers, those charged with keeping the playing field level, that's a joke, have been involved. That's what they used to be. Now market makers are just a sluice way for taking your money, and it's done with the permission of Gary Gensler. He could change it with a stroke of a pen because the laws are already on the book. Who does it benefit? Prime brokers. What's the most profitable one of all? Possibly Goldman Sachs. So recent revelations have indicated that even market makers, those charged with keeping the playing field level, have been involved in stock manipulation by bashing on a stock message board. Do you think so? Okay, so here we'll start with some of the rules or lessons. Headline: have no doubt that this is a real threat. It's a real threat to your money. Lesson number 1. Remember, bashers never bash a bad stock. Or put it differently, they never bash a stock that the stress isn't on the stock going up to hurt them. But anyway, lesson number 1, bashers never bash a bad stock. Check the boards for stocks with no potential. They never have any bashers. Bashers only go after stocks that are moving up or have an excellent potential to do so. Bashers work to bring the price down to either increase their position at the expense of others or help a shorty make their bones. They get paid off. Lesson 2, bashers always bring up old news that you have heard many times. New startup companies always have a few bit of bad news. The basher will post this over and over again. Unsophisticated bashers will try to freshen up old news with a new date or a byline in an attempt to fool you. Lesson 3, bashers post many times a day. They try to where you are. They comment on everything, every other post, and can answer every question. They know it all. There is no positive comment they won't bash. They try to control the board. True longs may have to confront the bashers, or they will appear to be newbies. Sorry, my eyesight is really bad, and this is small print. True longs may have to confront the bashers, or they will appear to the newbies, the new investors, as being the people with all the information. This is best accomplished by posting positive, well-researched data on the company repetitively while trying hard not to engage the bashers in direct response. Remember, Longs, that's you and me, resist the basher's alias. Resist using the basher's alias. I got to remember this. Lesson number 4. Bashers will lie to your face. Sometimes. Never trust a basher. The truth on startup companies is they make mistakes. What new company hasn't? The basher will compare your issue to another company's financials, deals, management, etc., trying to lure you into making an apples to oranges comparison. Remember, each company is unique, and while it is prudent to seek out established indicators, do so with care and don't take someone else's word for it. Strive to come up with at least a 6-pack of indicators so your vision of the state of the company is not tied to a single barometer. Of course, it doesn't have to be 6, whatever you can find. Not doing so is tantamount to going to a racetrack and betting on the pretty brown horsey. Bashers want to whisper in your ear, plant a seed of doubt, and hope that you are not savvy enough to research the truth on your own. This is how they achieve their greatest success. Doubt plus fear plus laziness equals bailout. This is your investment. Work for it, protect it, and don't panic on the words of a very shadowy figure that has, quote, your best interests in their heart, unquote. Consider that one factor. Someone you have never met, is not a member of your family, is now out of the goodness of their hearts giving you free advice that you didn't ask for. It's a no-brainer. They have motives which involve their dollars. Lesson 5. Bashers know you can't verify their statements. You can't verify, or you can't unverify, not verify. That's why they make the vague statements they do. They rely on you being too lazy to research their droppings other than to scan the board for other opinions. This is particularly dangerous when you consider that bashers work in packs and often validate and back up each other with nonsense, which appears to be, quote, innocuous and unsolicited, unquote. And it's just verification, so-called, from other comrade bashers. Let's face it, we are all conditioned to believe everything we see in writing. If others, by virtue of their, quote, posts, also confirm this belief, then we are subconsciously doomed to swallow the hook. Swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. Lesson 6. The bashers play on your lack of knowledge. They can lie about information and you won't know the difference unless you have done your own due diligence, which is, it's not always easy to have a full deck of information. But if you've done your own due diligence on the company, you'll know the truth versus the false. But they can lie and play on your lack of knowledge. Lesson 7. Bashers play on your lack of patience. You have held a stock a while. You knew it would be a big stock someday, but the basher can get to you because you were tired of waiting for your gain. That's when the basher is best. You were tired. You've forgotten the goal for the stock was to hold it for 1 year. And this is why I always remind you, write down your goals when you buy a stock and your reasoning. And then if you're having a moment of doubt and pain, go back and review the reasons. See if the reasons changed. If they did, well, that's fine. Or if you have a better idea, that's fine. But maybe if the reasons haven't changed, you don't sell. Maybe you take advantage of the gift the sellers are giving you. The basher is bothersome, so you dump it on a bad day. Some others also dump. Then you get mad for your loss and return to tell everyone how mad you are. Then you turn into a semi-basher as well. That's just normal reaction. I'm not getting upset with you for that, but that's just a pattern. The basher has won and gained a new ally, you. Lesson 8, bring the price down. That's the basher's job. The truth is not important. Lies are the norm. Post continuously on the board every day. They are trying to scare the newbies that are just investigating a stock. They are trying to wear down the faithful longs on the board and gain free reign and control. Okay, now, those are the 8 lessons. A basher, and we'll go over these again and again now that I printed it out. A basher handbook. Do not underestimate a basher's influence on a stock. The pros are good at what they do, and what they do is profit from your losses. Below is their handbook. This is learnt, or is it learned? I have to look that up. I'm going to say it's learned from it. Oh, I'm sorry. Learn from it, or you will be donating your hard-earned money to them. Remember, they just lie. They don't care about you. Okay, so the rules for successful bashing, spreading fear and doubt, driving a price down. Here are the rules. 1, be anonymous. 2, use 10% fact, 90% suggestion. The facts will lend credibility to the 90% that's false. 3, let others help you learn about the stock. Build rapport and a support base before initiating your bashing machine. In other words, come into the spaces, pretend to learn, make a support base before you turn on everybody. 4, enter with humor and reply to all who reply to you. 5, use multiple handles and aliases. 6, use 2 or more aliases to have a conversation. 7, do not start with an all-out slam on the stock. Build the slam softly. 8, identify your foes, longs, us, and let the board's guru use them to your advantage. Lead them, do not follow their lead. So I don't quite understand that one. It's poorly written. 9, only bash with the time when, again, I apologize for my eyesight. I'm guessing at words as I go. Only bash until the tide momentum turns. Let doubt carry it the rest of the way. So once the momentum goes in the basher's favor, they let us do our own damage. 10, give the appearance of being open-minded. Oh, I'm open-minded. William is blocking me. 11, be bold in your statements. People follow strength. 12, write headlines in caps with catchy statements. 13, pour it on as your position gains momentum. 14, don't worry about being labeled a basher. Newbies won't know your history. 15, when identified, put up a brief fight, back off, return in an hour unless your foe is a weak. So anyway, when identified, put up a brief fight, then back off, return in an hour when your foe is gone. 16, your goal is to limit the momentum of a run up, not to tank the company or create a plunge in the stock. Be subtle, be consistent. 17, kill the dreams of profits, not the company or the stock, because they make money slowly as it goes down. They don't want it to collapse either. 18, use questions to create critical thinking, statements to reinforce facts. 19, this is one you got to know. Do not lie, name call, or use profanity. These are the ones that are just come and they seem reasonable. Then a guy like me loses my cool. Everyone says, what's wrong with you? You're being mean to so-and-so. Do not lie, name call, or use profanity. 20, encourage people to call the company. 99% won't. They will take your word for claims made. If they do call, you can always find something that is inaccurate in how they report their findings. 21, discourage people from believing press releases from companies. Encourage them to call the company. They won't call the company out of laziness. 22, if the company's history, PRs, press releases, are negative, constantly point that out. Complete a list of this data prior to beginning your bashing efforts. 23, if the price rises, blame it on the hype or the PR. Blame it on temporary mass reaction, the market, anything but the success of the stock or the company itself. 24, if other posters share your concerns, play on that and share theirs too. 25, always cite low volume even when it's not. 26, 3 or 4 aliases can dominate a board and wear down the longs. 27, bait the longs, us, into personal debates, putting their focus efforts on you and not on the stock or facts. Divert the attention away from facts. 28, promote other stocks. Promote other stocks that would-be investors can turn to instead of the one you're bashing. 30, do not fall for challenges on the values of what you're doing. It's a game and you are just playing it with your own rules. Okay, that's the rules, 30 of them. What is a grade A basher? A grade A basher is someone, if you can count yourself as a grade A basher, if you post lots of old news, respond to all positive posts with negative news, never respond to being called a basher, never post on another board with the same alias, can spend up to 80 hours a week bashing a stock. Do you think they're getting paid? Do you think they're making money? 80 hours a week. A grade B basher. Very good with words, always claims to be your friend. You take the long into your confidence, never posts on another board, spends about 60 hours a week. Grade C basher, spends less time on the boards than others, but is somewhat effective, and gets a C grade attributable to getting excited when basher rules say not to get excited. Spend about 40 hours a week. Grade D basher needs to learn the basics about being convincing when making a negative statement. Spends a good amount of time working on the stock, maybe 20 hours of work. Grade F basher, a complete idiot. Most readers are not convinced he knows anything about the stock in general. That's the type, the grade F basher is the type that says the stock sucks, but gives no rationale, shows up every so often, but not on a regular schedule. Okay, learn how bashers work. For instance, did you know that bashers are paid? Golden rule, ignore bashers. I got to learn that rule. I know you're telling me that. Learn how professional bashers are paid. When you reply to bashers, you give them an opportunity to earn approximately $5 to $7. The service agreement they enter into with their employer states their messages will be monitored for content, profanity, lies, etc. But overseers and the like don't have the time to check all the bashers' messages. Only occasionally spot checks are done. Those who manage the basher will generally read the headlines to see if a basher is replying to other posters by name. That tells them the basher isn't just posting blindly or repeating the same message over and over, since they won't pay for those. True to form, a basher will put the bite on anyone, even their unscrupulous employer. They're just greedy. A basher will attempt to milk 3 to 5 replies per post at $1 to $2 each. This way, the basher spreads negative influence to as many stockholders as possible. A basher will create this discussion thread because it takes less time reading more messages than is necessary. This ultimately allows the basher more time to post and make money. In general, never engage a basher. I know you're saying, William, never engage a basher. Make them read all the posts and think up ways to enter the discussion. Never engage a basher. If you do so, you become the basher's aide de camp. If you feel compelled to challenge a basher, do so without mentioning his or her true alias in your response. This will make it hard for the basher to use your post as a revenue stream. Read the news, do your own homework, and make your own decisions. Get real-time quotes and follow the stock for a couple of weeks. Due diligence is the key here. Know that there will be a time when the stock runs up, which will be followed by the bashers and those who missed the boat. The bashers will trash the stock, saying such things as, quote, "It's a pump and dump," unquote. "It's a pump and dump." And, quote, "The company is lying," unquote. Their goal is to scare off the new investors and potential new investors by shaking you out of your shares. Take the time to confirm your due diligence, trust your own judgment, believe in yourself. Pick your point of return or loss and live with it. Don't listen to the hype or bashers. Trust your own judgment. Live by the rules you have created. I'll try to get I'll read another handbook another time. So that's the Basher's Handbook on Blogspot. There it is. And I know I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, I need to learn this myself, and I think you're right. So anyway, I'm going to get ready for the call. I might go live early. Ham's going to be calling in at 2. He wants to raise money for a truck. We'll see how he proposes to do that. And we'll go back to the SEC, and we'll keep the pressure on the creams. So I will talk to you later. Talk to you in a maybe 20 minutes. Peace out.